Hello, gorgeous entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here, and welcome to day 8 of Tashmas. It's a super exciting day today because I'm going to be talking about how to surround yourself with the right people who lift you up, help you stay high vibe, and really help you to create intense momentum in your business as well. So this is definitely something that is front of mind for me most days. I know that there's that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And for me, that usually counts as all the people who I'm hanging out with online, because I don't spend a lot of time with people in person as much these days, being a mobile entrepreneur. But you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So have a think about who are the people that you spend the most time with. Now, in the online business world, for me, that's hanging out with the lady posse, hanging out with my clients. And also, I do follow quite a few people who are more advanced than me, and I love getting their newsletters and listening to podcasts, and I'm a lifelong learner. If I don't learn from some piece of content every single day, I feel like my day is incomplete. So I'm definitely someone who surrounds herself with a lot of people virtually, but in person, it can be a little tougher to surround yourself with really high vibe people. For me, the people I spend the most time with outside of my business is, number one, Honest Dave. We live in each other's back pockets. But then it's family, neighbors, close friends, and people that I go to events with. And I've got to tell you, I've been to some events in the past where I've left because I can't deal with the vibe. Like, it's a lot of whinging or complaining. Or I even went to an event, and the event itself was okay because we were listening to the speakers. But during the breaks, it was like everyone was just in panic mode. And there was this real sense of freak out and nothing's working in my business. I have a feeling it had a lot to do with the NLP sales strategies being used on stage, but I was a bit more aware of what was happening. But in the breaks, the vibe over morning tea and lunchtime was like so intensely negative that I actually had to run away during the break. So I actually took myself off to a cafe, like away from the venue, and hid myself in a corner and put my headphones in and was just focusing on my own thing, because I could really feel that that energy just wasn't right, and it wasn't the kind of energy that I wanted to surround myself with. So it begs the question, how do you surround yourself with the right people, and how do you make sure that when you talk about you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, that those people are high vibe and uplifting and help you to create momentum and move towards the business and life that you want to create, rather than keeping you trapped in this mindset of everything sucks, nothing's going right, it's all really hard, we have to hustle, hustle, hustle. I don't like hanging out in a hustle vibe for a very long time at all, because it's not my way of working. So I thought I would let you know some of the ways that I select the events that I go to, and also in the online world, in the virtual world, how I make sure I'm surrounding myself with super high vibe people. So let's start with in-person events to start with, and in-person, like real life, have a hug kind of spaces. So for me, step number 1 is to look at who am I actually spending a lot of time with, and am I satisfied with the level of abundance that I feel around them, with how comfortable I feel in my own skin, with how they make me feel, with my thoughts while I'm in the company of those people, and just the general vibe of hanging out with the people that I'm hanging out with. Now, when I do this review, I do it in my heart and soul planning system in the beginning of each year. And I also do this review at the mid-year point, when I sit down, Honest Dave and I do a like mid-year, end of financial year kind of review with each other, and we sit down for a few hours and look at everything that's going on. Now, when I do this, 9 times out of 10, I've been like, nah, still could use some work. I definitely want to surround myself with some more uplifting, high vibe, positive people. and particularly in the business space. Like, I just love hanging out with members of the Lady Posse, and those members of the Lady Posse who are those people who are ambitious and they're really uplifting, and there's kind of people that make you feel really good when you hang out with them. So first and foremost is to do a bit of an audit, and there are some people that you can't help but hang out with. For example, neighbors, close old friends, family. Yes, there are times you can choose to spend less time with them, but there are times when you're going to have to hang out with them. So what I do is I make a plan for how am I going to make sure that the time that I spend with those people is uplifting, it feels good, and it's filling my cup. So for example, I've got a couple of friends who are a bit negative and they like to just bitch about their partners and their work. And, I really love them and I love spending time with them, but it can be a little draining. So I make sure that the types of things that we do together are going to be things where it's not just sit and whinge opportunities. So we might go to the movies and then we can talk about the movie when we go to lunch afterwards. And I might invite them to, say, a wine lunch where I've got my other friends there as well. So I'm not just like in this intense whinge fest one-on-one with some of those people. I also, for example, when I go and stay with my family or when I'm hanging out with family members, I make sure that I really prepare myself for it. So I know that everyone's going to ask me about my business. So what am I going to say when people say, how's business? Usually I will say something like, it's actually going really great and I'm working towards my conference, which is in March. Or I will say, yeah, things are going great. I'm doing a reprint of my book shortly. So it's really tangible things that family members can understand. And it's not necessarily going, yeah, good, and then opening up to another question. If I want them to ask me a question, I want that question to be about my book or about conference. I don't want them asking me about my income, what should I do to start a business? Like, oh my gosh, so many people are like, how do I get out of my job? Is usually one of the most common questions that I get from family members. And even when I give them advice on what to do, they still don't take it. So I've given up on giving them any advice and I don't answer that question. I'm like, well, it's up to you. You can follow my blog if you want. But I try and keep the conversation to our personal life. It's great because Honest Dave and I have a life of adventure. So I can talk about that time we were in Vienna or living in Bali or Munchkin still being trapped in Singapore. We've got plenty of things for us to talk about that don't involve like getting into the whinge about my business. Or something that's quite triggering for me is when people say, oh, well, it's good for you. Lucky you've got this life. Because I tend to talk about how we took a big risk. I worked really hard. And I'd start to justify why I'm allowed to have a $500,000 a year business and travel the world. And I don't need to justify myself to anyone, let alone my family. So I have a plan of what I'm going to say when people ask me about my business. I have a plan of conversation topics that I want to talk about. And also I have a plan of like giving myself plenty of time and space to take a break as well. So if I go to a big family event, I don't stay with family members, I'll book a hotel. Or if I am going to stay, for example, stay with my sister, I'll make sure that I also book a Lady Posse catch-up, meet-up in Harvey Bay. Or my sister has an office that she doesn't actually use. So I'll just take over her office and lock myself in the office for 4 to 5 hours a day hanging out online with people so that I've got that beautiful space to focus on my business and really feel like I'm surrounded by the right people. I also book in more meetings with my team, my mentor, my mastermind, and even my followers, like my VIP clients, during the times where I might be also have a lot of family time involved. So then I've got a session, I'm just going to duck in and do that. And it's really lights me up and fills my cup as well. So it gives me plenty of chances to like duck out of the room and do my own thing. I'm not saying that I need to avoid my family, by the way, but I just like to make sure I have control over the dosage and creating space for me to take a breath if I need to. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes I really need to take a breath. So that's my what I do in terms of when there's people that I can't avoid. or that I want to spend time with, but I want to make sure that that time really lights me up and fills me up and isn't too draining for me. And then I proactively look for other opportunities to hang out with people. So in the Heart Centre group, we have Lady Posse meetups. Now, if you don't have a Lady Posse meetup in your area, check the events tab. There's Lady Posse meetups in a lot of places. But if you don't have a Lady Posse meetup in your area and you want to run one, all you need to do is email support@tashcorbin.com and Ellie will send you the guidelines and you can start your own and have a meetup with other people who are entrepreneurial. So wherever I go, I like to either run a Lady Posse meetup or jump along to one of the Lady Posse meetups that's already in existence. And I also look for great events to go to as well. Now, when I worked in the corporate world, and I was a consultant, we had a minimum of 4 professional development events that we had to go to every single year. Our CEO knew and saw the value of professional development and learning and networking with other people in our industry and making sure that we're like getting out there. And I have carried that along into my business journey as well. So some of the big leaps that have come for me in my business have been off the back of going to conferences and events. So whether that be going to regular networking events. So when I lived in Ballina, I used to go to the Byron and Beyond networking breakfasts, and they used to have them once a week in 4 different places in the Northern Rivers area, and I used to go every week. So I'd go the Ballina one and the Byron Bay one and the Lismore one, and I would travel and go to these breakfasts because they were really well facilitated. The kinds of people who went were really awesome. I made some amazing networks there, and I got a lot of clients out of going along to those events. And that's really where my one-to-one sales took back off in 2014 after I kind of damaged my one-to-one stuff after launching the Takeoff program, which I have talked about in other places. I won't repeat that story here. But I was really struggling to get one-to-one clients, and that in-person networking event was brilliant. Not only did I get clients from the people who were there, but they were referring people to me as well, and really significant amounts of income came from me going to that event regularly. I also love going to conferences. So I've been to conferences like Pro Blogger. I've been to the Soulpreneurs Conference. I've been to the Hay House Writers Workshop. I've been to the Artful Business Conference. Of course, I've been to the Heart-Centered Business Conference, my conference. And I've been to other smaller events as well, daytime events. I've been to Chamber of Commerce breakfasts. I really love going to conferences. I want to go to Social Media Marketing World at some point, making sure that they have gender equality in their speakers. They have tended to be quite male orientated in the past, so hopefully they'll get that sorted. And I'm not afraid to go to an event where I think, none of the speakers really challenge me. The event in and of itself is going to be amazing. And that experience of being in the room with other people who are like-minded, looking for the same thing, really ambitious and willing to invest in going to a conference to learn more for their business. Like, you cannot beat being in the room with other people like that. So I always, every year when I do my yearly planning, I will set myself 3 to 4 events that I would like to go to as my larger events. I like to have at least one away event as well. So I'll travel down to Melbourne or travel overseas to an event, because who doesn't love going to a conference away and staying in a hotel and having an amazing time? I think that's just the definition of awesomeness. So keep an eye out for events that you can go to both locally and away. I think there's something really powerful about saying, I'm going away for a week for my business. That is sexy. The reason why I went to Vienna this year was for a masterminding week for my business. And it was a really powerful and effective way for me to take some time out and focus on the back end of my business and also my larger marketing plan moving forward, and getting some feedback from peers and some advice and encouragement, and having that time and space to focus just on me and my business. It's hyper powerful. So if you want to surround yourself with other people and build your networks, look for local and away events that you can go to really ramp up your networks and people that you've actually met in real life. there's a big difference between meeting people online and giving them an actual hug in real life, or sharing a lunch with someone, or going out to coffee with someone. I think it really does make a big difference on how we feel about being in our business, and also that loneliness that can sometimes come up when we're mostly working in the online space. And if you do want to come to the Heart-Centered Business Conference in 2019, March, stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you how you can get your tickets at a super discount as well. So just stay tuned for that one. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was finding yourself some BFFs. So some best friends forever, some business BFFs that you can spend time with. I think this is like super juicy, and it's something that we can sometimes undervalue. So whenever I have moved locations, I've made sure that I've got in touch with like, who else is on the Sunshine Coast? What else is happening around here? And I've found some people, and then I've gone to regular coffee catch-ups with them, or we've had co-working days where we've all got together and done some work in our business for a day or two. I've had like wine lunches and invited people to come in to Melbourne Cup, or, you know, something like that. So, you know, there are some really cool things that you can do like in person with business BFFs, but I also have 3 really cool online business BFFs. They're the people who, when the poo hits the fan, I send them a message and like, oh my gosh, I just had this thing happen today. What am I going to do? Or celebrate with, or, you know, just even having people to say, oh, I've put my sales page up for this. Can you just have a look at it? I don't know what it's gonna do. Or I'm launching this thing. Can you come and comment on my post about it and tell people your experience of doing that thing with me? Or just put a helpful comment there. It would be really great to get the momentum going. Or I've asked a question in the Heart Center group. Can you go and put an answer in there? Just little things like that where you're like, oh my God, I just wish I had someone who could ask to go and do this for me. There's someone to go and do it. Now, my business BFFs always comment and tag me where people ask for business coaches or marketing support or events to go to in other groups. Instead of me going, I've got the Heart Center Business Conference, they just say, you need to go to Tash Corbin's Heart Center Business Conference. And they tag the page and they'll tag me. And so it's like that instant referral network as well. We've got extra eyes on the ground, and it creates that sense of social proof if someone else is recommending me and recommending the conference. So maybe the idea for you out of this podcast episode is to go and find yourself a biz BFF that you can spend some more time with. And it might feel really awkward at first to say to someone like, can I catch up with you, or do you want to be friends with me? Like, it does feel a little bit awkward, but there are some really easy ways that you can get your biz BFF. So think about the courses and online programs that you're in. Do they have Facebook support groups that go with them? Could you do a call out in there and say, does anyone want to buddy up and go through this process together? People do it all the time in the Takeoff program. I've got a few people who do it in the academy as well. I know that some people even encourage it when they run their free challenges, when they have their courses. They tell people at the start of the program, okay, it's time for you to buddy up with someone. And sometimes those buddy relationships are ongoing and they last forever. And sometimes they fizzle. Look for another one. That's totally okay. But the main thing that I think is really important when you're looking for a biz BFF, when you're looking for that buddy system, is to think about, well, what can you offer them? And it's the same advice that you hear over and over again for networking and mentoring and all those sorts of things, is don't reach out to someone but focus just on what you can get. Reach out to them focused on what you can give. So if you are looking for a business BFF and you're looking for someone to cheer you on, for accountability, to help you share your stuff, then you need to be willing to do that for someone else as well. Like, it needs to be a reciprocal relationship. It's not just about going around and using all of the people that you find online and milking them for all they can give you. If you approach it in that way, then it does feel yucky and it is gross and it's not cool. And actually, I know, like, even in the circles that I'm in, there are some people who are notoriously known for like milking you for all your worth, and they've got a bit of a reputation for it these days. So the word spreads when you go into these relationships in that way. I know you're not going to do that, and I know, you know, it's not something that happens in the in the Lady Posse often, but I think it's something that's worth saying, that whatever you want from others, you need to give it as well. So yeah, a great way for you to increase that sense of being surrounded by the right peeps is finding yourself a biz BFF. Now, the other side that I want to talk about is your online experiences. Now, Biz BFF applies to that. Courses that you join applies to that. But I also want to really hammer home that point about joining great courses and programs. So there are some amazing courses and programs out there, Academy and Takeoff are two of them, that have hyper supportive Facebook communities that are super duper high vibe. I would say Miriam Castilla's Magnetic Money is one of those as well. Ailey Wildy's Tidy Friday. Sinead Carey with her monthly membership for Facebook pages. I never remember the name of that. Claire Barton's Batshit Crazy, Claire Tate's Mastermind. Now, I've been in all of those at one point or another. I'm still in some of them, and they are high vibe spaces. And it's part of the reason why I have trouble letting go of the memberships sometimes, is because it's so great to be surrounded by high vibe people in the online space, and to have my newsfeed full of posts from these people celebrating. And when they talk about a challenge that comes up, they're talking about it not like a whingy, everything bad happens to me, I just need to rant, oh, please let me vent. But they're actually coming in and saying, wow, this is fascinating. This bad thing happened to me. I can see that my role is this. Does anyone have any other insights that they can help me to really work through this? So when they come and share something, even if it's a negative thing, it is so high vibe the way that they do it. And we're allowed to experience bad times. We're allowed to experience negative emotions, but it's not that constant draining energy within the community. It's they're coming at it from a really proactive space. So there are some Facebook communities, and particularly where you've paid to be in the group, so it goes with a course or a membership or a program, that, you know, they're really powerful places and spaces for you to hang out and be surrounded by high vibe, ambitious, amazing women and people who are going to really lift you up as well. So that's a great one in the online space. And then the other one is consistently have a mentor. Consistently have a mindset mentor, consistently have a strategy mentor. And it is worthwhile investing to spend more time with those people, because that's going to increase the amount of time that you're spending with those 5 people that you are the average of. So if you want to be the average of the people that you just hang out in free Facebook groups with, then that's the average, then hang out in free Facebook groups. But if you want to be the average of Tash Corbin and Claire Tate and Denise Duffield Thomas and Marie Forleo and blah, 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 then you need to increase the amount of time that you're spending with those women, being in their programs and coming along to the live calls and going to their webinars and reading their emails is a way for you to do that. I feel like I am best friends with some mentors who have no idea who I am because I'm in their program, and it might be like a bigger program, so they don't really pay attention to who's in there. But I'm in their program, I get their newsletter, I subscribe to their YouTube channel, I listen to their podcast. Like, I am surrounding myself with this person because I want to be like her. And so I spend a good hour, 2 hours a week at least, listening to her voice, reading her writing, looking at her pictures on Facebook and Instagram, because I want to be like that person. So I think that sometimes we underestimate the value of selecting really high quality, high vibe mentors and practicing discernment about the people that we follow. I have a post that I do up on my Facebook page every now and then. It's like, who do you need to unsubscribe from today? Because I, for sure, look at my emails, and if I've got 5 or 6 emails from someone like, you're never going to make it without me, the one thing that you need that you're not doing right, all the mistakes that you're making with blah, 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 you know what? I don't want to invite that kind of energy into my inbox. It's time for me to unsubscribe. And so you might need to do a little review of your Facebook news feed, of your emails, of your podcasts that you're listening to, and ask yourself, are you surrounding yourself with high vibe peeps that you want to be like, or are you surrounding yourself with people who make you feel like stink? Is that a thing? I even found that last year, a lot of people who, I did want to be like that person, but I didn't like the way that they spoke to me. So ultimately, I don't want to speak to my peeps that way. I don't want to be like that person. So I made some really tough decisions last year on who I was going to unfollow. And some of those people I'd followed from before I'd even started my business. So they are some of the tips and hints that I have for you to surround yourself with high vibe people and really make sure that you are the average of 5 amazing people because you're spending the most time with them. And I say this over and over again. I know that I sometimes sound like a broken record, but the Heart Centered Business Conference really is a beautiful opportunity for you to not only surround yourself with high vibe people, but also experience that joyful experience of taking time out to focus on your business, being supported by others, listening to speakers that you wouldn't normally get to hear from, and really working in a group environment in a way that lifts you up, that is very solution oriented, it's very creative and very ideas oriented, and it's a very powerful experience. The Heart Centered Business Conference is happening from the 14th to the 17th of March. 2019. It's now just over 3 months away, and early bird actually closed a little while ago, but we haven't sold any tickets at full price. So what I thought I would do is, because it is Tashmas and we're on our way in the lead up to Christmas, is that if anyone missed out on buying their ticket at the early bird price and you would like to sneak on in at the early bird price, I'm totally happy to honor that for listeners to the Tashmas podcasts. So all you need to do is email support@tashcorbin.com and let us know you'd like to come to conference at the early bird price, and my fabulous support team will send you through the details on how you can sneak in the back door. If you have any questions about that, just send them through on email. Support@tashcorbin.com is the best email that you can send things through to. And if you've got any questions about conference or the discount or anything like that, send them on through there. If you haven't followed the Heart Centered Business Conference Facebook page, please do make sure that you do, because I also share lots of insights and information about conference there, and I do lots of Facebook Lives explaining the different elements of conference. We also have testimonials from people who've attended in 2017, and I'll also be making some fresh speaker announcements as well. So that's facebook.com/Lady Posse Conference, all one word, is the Heart Centered Business Conference Facebook page. And I'll make sure, as I said, all the links to this are with the show notes from today at tashcorbin.com/Tashmas07. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Tashmas. It's been a sexy one. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Big love from me, and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Bye for now.